Welcome to Global Education Unpacked, to the podcast that explores how global learning transforms the classroom and beyond. I'm your host, Marie Lapidus. Our awesome producer is Matt Byrne, and our theme music is Mint by DJ Double Dip. So let us dive in. That's what ChatGPT. Today we are speaking with Gerardo Cruz, Chair of the Rare Languages Department and Assistant Professor of Spanish at Harper College. Gerardo brings more than 20 years experience teaching Spanish and has led numerous immersion programs across Central and South America. I changed that, and we can have a little chat about that, because it wrote Latin America, and I was like, now I'm confused about what I'm allowed to call things, so I put Central and South America. And virtual exchanges that connect students across borders. He's passionate about making global learning personal, meaningful, and accessible. And if you're not, you are now. Welcome, Gerardo. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Marie. My name is, as you mentioned, Gerardo Cruz. I grew up in Mexico.
Where?
In Monterrey, and up north of Mexico.
Okay.
Almost like a border with Texas. We have a border with Texas there.
So yes, tell us about yourself, because you do have a really interesting story about how you came here. How much are you going to share? I don't know.
I'm in my 20s. I was in Mexico. I was learning, I was studying law. And then suddenly I decided to drop from college and pursue a different interest in life. I thought I have a call for priesthood. So that's why I immigrated to the United States. I contacted a priest in the United States, and he told me that it was a good idea to come here to Milwaukee, where he was located, because there were a lot of immigrants from Mexico that many of them didn't know English, so they need to find somebody who will speak Spanish to them. So I said, if I want to be a priest, why not to be in a place that I can be uncomfortable, but at the same time I can serve my people at that time, the people that speak Spanish. So that's how I immigrated to Wisconsin almost 30 years ago.
And how was that, like, you went from rather warm Mexico to Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
How was that?
It was great, because that was the first time that I saw the Lake Michigan, flying through the Lake Michigan. And I thought it was an ocean. I was like, oh my goodness, this is too big that it looks like an ocean.
I know.
Where I'm from is semi-desert areas. We're in the valley of between mountains, so there is hardly any water, like Colorado, something like that.
Yeah.
So being in that area in Milwaukee was impressive. And then also I came in the summer, so it was really nice. In my first winter, it was a big storm. It was between 5 and 6 feet of snow. So it was like...
Was that your first snow?
It was my first one.
Ever?
So, yes.
Wow.
So this is beautiful. But then,
Until it happens
but I
again.
had to clean after that, so yeah.
Until the snow happens again, and it's not as beautiful anymore. I love snow, so I like to cross-country ski, so I'm not against snow. I'm just saying, usually when people come from warmer climates, I'm always surprised that they're like, I think the initial reaction is, oh, this is so cute and whatever, and then it's, oh no.
It's really cold. Yeah, I have to wear 2 pants, 2 socks, 2 pair of socks, a lot of jackets, sweaters, because I didn't know what was warm. I just was throwing things on me. Walking in the snow, realized that going to take the bus, and the mushy snow is not ideal. You have to do it, though.
That's right. That's right. Oh, and then how did you get to Harper? Well, started teaching, right?
I started teaching after I decided that actually priesthood was not for me.
See, students, we want to point out that you can pick a career,
Right.
and then you do some studying and some exploration,
Right.
and then you say, not for me.
Not for me.
And then you try another path.
And that's
here you
it.
go. And Gerardo is a perfect example of that.
That's what I did. I was studying law in Mexico, and I thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And then I said, maybe not, and I went to no regrets. I came to Milwaukee, wanted to be a priest. Things didn't turn out when I wanted, so it's no regret. I just walk away from that. And I was able to finish my undergraduate degree. And then from there, I was going to go back to Mexico, because I came to the idea to be a priest, so it didn't work out. I said, nothing else for me to do here than just go back to Mexico. And the director of the seminary in that time, he told me, like, why are you going back? I said, what do you want me to do? I'm done here. I came not to work, I came to serve as a priest. So then in my last semesters in undergrad, my then professor as well and chair of the world languages in Milwaukee, he told me, why you don't get a master's in Spanish? So it seems like you are pretty good in reading and understanding the books and novels. And I said, I don't have money. He said, you don't have to pay for it. Seems like you're a good student, you have pretty great grades, so you should apply and maybe you get a scholarship to get a master's degree. And I said, why not? I don't have nothing to lose, and the only option is to go back to Mexico. It was like, why not? Take that chance. So I applied to Marquette, and I got accepted. And I did two years there as doing my master's degree and a teacher assistant. And that's how it got me into teaching. I was teaching 2 courses per semester, and I love it. I have fun with the students. They seem that they liked learning Spanish with me, and so it was a great experience. So from there, again, I was like, okay, I'm done with my master's degree. Now time to go to Mexico. Every time
it's always, I'm going to go back to Mexico.
And then again,
But it pulls you back into the United States.
she told me, why you don't apply for a position in the States? And I said, why? Just apply. Again, you want to go back to Mexico, apply. And if you don't get a job before you finish your master's degree, you just go back to Mexico. I mean, sure. So I applied, and I got a job in January because I finished in December my master's. So then the next month, I was already working. And then since then, I've been teaching in Spanish, like an option for me. And I start growing and loving it, teach Spanish to students.
And how, just like real quick, you went from being a student and being allowed to stay here, right? And then you got a job. How did you end up being able to work here?
I had the chance to get visas. I was sponsored by the university, but then after 2 years, they said, we're done with
the sponsorship.
By then, I was already, I think, 2 years married when they sponsored me. So I said, I guess I need to apply for my citizenship.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I didn't want to, because I thought it was part of who I was, like Mexican. Like, I'm a Mexican, I don't need to be American. But I said, I think now that I'm here, and since I was not single anymore, they can just walk away. I was like, I think not for me, but for the person that was with me in that time, I need to be responsible.
Yeah. So how is it being an American versus being a Mexican? Because I'm assuming you consider yourself both.
I think it's convenience. When I'm a Mexican, when I'm teaching, I'm Mexican, but then it's some privilege that I have as an American. I have the right to vote.
Right.
But still, I still don't feel like...
Taking out us immigrants, first thing we say, what's the advantage of being an American? Oh, we have the right to vote. We take that very seriously.
Right.
Very seriously.
True, but that's the right day.
And we say that, I don't think Americans, when they say, what's the best part of being American, say, oh, it's my right to vote.
Right.
Then when you're an immigrant, you always say, that's my right to vote. That's very important.
That's my insurance. Or,
right.
or clean water, because,
Oh, that's helpful. Clean water is helpful.
It is. Many other places, but you go some places in the States, you still don't have clean water.
Yes.
And, so that's the...
Yes. Well, there's Flint, Michigan, right?
That's right. So see, that's what I
the
was thinking
fracking,
about that.
right?
Right.
Yes. That's Michigan. That's another thing about the United States. We're very loyal to our states until we're not.
Okay.
All right. So, and then what happened? How'd you get to Harper? Because you were teaching in Wisconsin,
right?
And then you went to Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, and then I was in Wisconsin, and then my first child was born. And after 3 years, I told to my then wife, I said, you know what? I want my kids to, at least this child, to grow in a community that is more welcoming for diversity. Milwaukee is a nice place, but it's not too open to diversity. This really segregated city. You have people that are African Americans or black and Hispanic, white, and there's really and there is a river there, so it's really, you can see where the people are located.
Yeah.
So I said, I want my kid to grow up in that environment. And to be honest, there was 2 options. There was Illinois and there was Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. And I said, I think I want to go to Philadelphia. And I was lucky enough, I applied to a position there and I got the job. So we got everything. And then my second son was already born. So after 1 year, he was in Milwaukee, we left to Philadelphia, to community college down there. And I spent there 4 years in Philadelphia. But I love Philadelphia, but also we miss the Midwest. So it was like
the snow and the winters and the slush.
I never frustrated. I was surprised. It's an old city, and they still don't know how to deal with the snow. When if it's like maybe 5 inches of snow, they close the streets. There's nobody's working. They don't clean the streets.
Who complains about that?
The community college of Philadelphia was in downtown, and I have to drive to the city,
Yeah.
and the students have to walk to. So it was a pain for them.
Yes.
And I was like, how? I couldn't understand. Coming from Wisconsin, I was like, how they cannot get it? They need to clean the streets, throw salt at the roads. But I was like, wow, this is like one storm per every 10 years. So after that, then I decided to, again, there was another position open in Harper, and I said, let me apply and see, now we're going back to the Midwest. And again, I get the position, and I'm here since 2017. I came to Harper, so.
And how do you like it?
I love it. This is the experience that I got here in Harper. People are welcoming. I know that the Midwest is still the culture is still in my back of my head. They really be nice to me. They use a Midwest behavior.
So again, I would say that's an immigrant experience, right? You don't know and I hate to generalize here, but with Americans, where you stand necessarily all the time. In my culture, it's very straightforward. And with me, either you like people or you don't like people, and you know who your friends are, and everybody, but in the United States, it's a little bit different. People are friendlier outwardly like that, but that does not make them your friends.
And that's what I like about Philadelphia. They were really honest like that. If they didn't like you, they told you they are rude, but they are kind people.
Yeah.
They tell you, I hear a couple of people coming to me and say, I don't understand what you're saying. And I say, okay, I'm sorry, I need to articulate. I say, yeah, I need to articulate better.
Yeah.
Here, they always told me like, oh, that's okay. I think I can try to understand you. In Philadelphia, I was like, no, dude, we need to communicate.
Right.
Just tell me what you want, but tell me that I can understand you, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
So I like that, honesty.
Honesty, yeah. I'm with you on that. Do you think your early experiences that you had, you started out like law, then you came here for the priesthood, then you went into Spanish. Do you think that actually led you to be a Spanish teacher? Do you feel like your background set you up for that?
Partially, yes, but also what I think is about my interest to teach the language or to communicate with people. I like to have a conversation with people. Even when I was learning English, my broken English, I try always to make signs or something to get across to the information. And that's what I want with the students. When I'm teaching, I feel like we are similar with each other. It's just the difference is that we don't speak the same language.
Right.
And the language is the bridge to communicate, for them to understand each other. So I think that's what pushed me to that path, that I want people to understand, or students or Americans, or those who don't speak Spanish, that people that they are here, they speak Spanish. It's just if they were open to understand another language, they will be able to see that there is not much difference between one another. We get frustrated with the same things. We get happy with the same things. We like to love the same things. So I think it's just the language that sometimes the barrier, who is like the imaginary barrier that is there, that we don't want to get across because we feel like, oh, that person is strange or is weird. That's how they call it.
Yes, it's weird.
But I said to them, everybody's weird. Even your siblings are weird.
Yes.
So, I mean, and they speak the same language and parents. So.
Absolutely. I'll own that. And I'm sure they feel the same way about me, my brothers. Do you speak any other languages besides English and Spanish?
I try. I tried many times to learn French, Italian.
Because they say those are very close to Spanish, but I actually, after studying languages, don't really think that that's true. You could see some similar. When I studied French, and then I came back and I took Italian because I needed to fill more credits when I was at school. I always would think that I knew some words because I knew it in French. But then I look at the word and go, no, that's not why I know. And then I realized that the Russians had stolen so many Italian words. And that's why I knew those. And it wasn't the French that's supposed to be so close to Italian. It was the Russian that's not close to Italian. It was that language that gave me a lot of the vocabulary because I was like, how do I know what this word means? And then I think about French and I'm like, it's not French.
Right.
It's not English, it's not French, how do I know? And it was the Russian that I had that gave me that. So I think there's some vocabulary you get and you can see some similarity, but to pronounce it, to communicate it is not the same.
It's different. But I think learning two languages. Yes, you learn your first language, then your second language, but then if after that you want to learn a third language or you want to see hear other languages, it get easier.
Yes.
Because you can start relating like, okay, this sounds like this. You start like using your brain to figure out things.
Yes.
And sometimes when we grow up, we learn the first language. Obviously we don't learn how to study it. We just learn it there. But when you learn your second, your third language, you start using common sense. Oh, okay, I can put these things here together. And that's how, I don't speak more than 2 languages, but sometimes I read and I can understand French, Italian, Portuguese, or even like German. I'm using all the tools that I have that can try to figure out things. It was one time when I was an undergraduate, I was working in the kitchen because I was hungry all the time. So I had to eat something. So it was the best job for me. And I was working with Malaysian students. And they were reading a book, a novel. And I asked them, what are you reading? And they showed me the book. And I was, in my brain, I'm pretending to read what they were saying. Yeah. So they were surprised because for me, it looked like Spanish. Everything was written as a Latin alphabet. So I was reading it, and they were surprised that I was hearing the target and the words, and I said, I don't know what I'm saying. And they were like, you can read Malaysian. And he said, well, yes, but I don't know what I'm saying.
I had the same when I was looking to potentially go to Mongolia. They use the Cyrillic Russian alphabet, so I can read everything. I just don't understand. I can probably read and pronounce it, and I would not know what I'm saying. So did you teach what language was first for your children here?
The first for my oldest one was Spanish, and then but for my youngest one is English.
Yeah. So you gave up.
I gave up.
You gave up for the second one. I will say my first one had more Russian because I had Russian nannies, and so because I wanted them to learn Russian, so I purposefully hired Russian nannies so they could get the Russian, and I tried to speak to them in Russian as much as I could when they were little. So my other one had a nanny longer because the younger one needed a nanny, right? So she had more Russian experience, but they can say things with an accent, like they can do, and they don't conjugate necessarily properly, but they can get their point across, like they know enough words. But they understand a lot. How about your kids? Do they understand Spanish? Can you talk to them in Spanish and they might reply to you in English, but you can talk to them in Spanish.
We'll do this one, I can do that.
Yeah.
With the youngest, he resisted.
Nope.
No,
not interested.
No. And if, it takes 5 minutes for him to, tell me in English. So he was fighting already. Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to get upset.
He's going to have to learn Spanish in school. Should have done it when you were a baby.
Well, that's
you could have done it earlier and gotten an A in that class without any effort.
I think the structure of the sentence and the prepositions. That sentence we only have 1, in English you have 3, in, at, on, and that was always a pain in the butt.
I never even thought of those. I just was always confused because the sound of some, as we know, some of the words, they all sound the same. They're not necessarily written the same. And then the O-U-G-A, that when do you use that? When do you use just you? When do you, I didn't know which one to use. That was what's the easiest part or the most fun part about teaching Spanish?
I feel like I'm at home. I just come to class and I feel, okay, this is what I know. So I keep talking to the students in Spanish. And the hardest part is when I teach in 101, when students they don't hardly know any Spanish.
Yeah.
And I got really tired because I try to enunciate everything. I slow down. I repeat things like 10 times. So my first week or 2 weeks, I was super tired when I get home because it's just all the energy that I spend in those classes.
Yeah.
But besides that, that's the fun thing to teach them or show them music. We talk about food, about culture. Many students just want to learn about Day of the Death because it's the main thing.
Yes.
Or Cinco de Mayo.
Right. That's all the 2 things that they've seen.
Right.
There's plenty of cartoons now.
Exactly. I want them to learn is that Latin America is not Mexico. Mexico is part of Latin America, but it's not Mexico. Or Spain. There are 2 countries, but there are 20 more countries in Latin America that they can experience or learn about. So that's what I want to teach them, that we can say one thing in Mexico, but then we say in a different way in Guatemala, in Costa Rica, and Argentina. Right. And I think that is what also gets me excited. I'm able to teach them what is beyond what the basic things they know about Mexico, Spanish, or Spain. Some students went to high school and their teacher went to Spain, and they think that's the only culture.
Right.
If they have a Mexican teacher, they think they have to like tacos all the time. I say, dude, Mexico is more than tacos. There are more things, and there are countries in Latin America, they don't eat tacos at all. They don't eat spices.
Right.
And that's good to learn those things.
Absolutely. So you did a number of immersion programs abroad. Which countries did you visit? Tell us maybe one that stands out that had some fun or surprising story or something happened that the students learned.
My first country was Costa Rica. When I was in Milwaukee, they wanted to have an immersion place in Latin America or Spain. And I said, why don't try someplace in Latin America? And I said, let's try Costa Rica. And I said, let's do Costa Rica.
Okay.
And I think my first year I took 22 students by myself. So it was my first experience. I said, okay, let's go. So sometimes I slept like maybe 7 hours, maybe 6 hours. Some days it was just 5 hours because the students were out and we need to go and hunt them and go and bring them back to their houses. And
22, oh my God.
some students they were teenagers, so they think that they talk to a Latino boy, a Latino girl, and they fall in love. So I have to go and tell them, like, no, that's not love. They just, there's something else, but that's not love. Okay. So broken hearts. So that was part of that.
How long were you there that they had broken hearts?
I was there for almost 17 days. So after 3 days dancing salsa, they felt, oh my goodness,
They're all in love
passion.
after the salsa.
Right. So I went to Costa Rica, I went to Guatemala, Mexico, Peru, Ecuador, and Cuba. That was the countries they visited.
How was Cuba?
It was beautiful. I love Cuba. There was
How did you get there? How were you allowed?
It was during the Obama time, so we were able to go through from Pennsylvania to Cuba.
Okay.
So we didn't have any
Well, I
problem.
think they allow anything that has to do with education. That's
Right.
the way that you can go into Cuba.
That's true, too.
From the United States. Yeah. Okay.
So it was beautiful. It is a poor country, but people are great, really friendly, kind. I've seen wherever I see in the country, people are wonderful. But I believe that Cubans are really people that want to give what they have, and that's amazing. They have rice, they want to share the plate of rice with you. They have a Coca-Cola, and I don't know what, 200 milliliters. They have less than a liter. And they want to share with 4 people.
Yeah.
And it's freaking hot down there, so you hardly get liquid, but they want to share it.
Yeah.
And that's what amazed me of them. They whatever they have, even they don't have almost nothing, they want to give you that. That was beautiful about Cuba.
That's awesome. What were, besides falling in love and salsa, what were the most important things you think for the students? What about you? What did you think were the key things that you learned when you went over?
For me, I had to deal with stress. This is not as vacation, and many people may think it's not having fun for me.
Right.
But it's just for them to enjoy the culture, to learn to enjoy the language when they're there, to show them that when they hear the language, they can use it down there, and they feel like, yes, I can communicate with people. Sometimes many students don't do it here. After the classroom, they leave, they don't want to talk with anybody in Spanish, or they feel embarrassed. They are being judged. And when they go to those countries, they realize that nobody's judging. Nobody cares that, oh my goodness, you say taco, and that's embarrassing. Nobody cares. They're like, okay, sure. How many tacos? It's just that it comes to the brain like, oh, this is normal. It's okay to have an accent. It's okay to not know everything. And I think the students grow up in that sense. They have that sense of they feel comfortable, and sometimes when you expose them to be in a comfortable situation, they grow as a person, and they realize that sometimes you have to struggle in life, but it's not the end of the world.
So, question for you: did you ever feel embarrassed of your English?
There were times, yes, when I was embarrassed. And when I used to go to the drive-thru. Sometimes I panic. So I just said 1, 2, whatever, and that's it. It was hard for me to say that.
It's hard to understand what they're even saying to you through those systems.
The speakers, right.
Speakers. Yeah.
So I get sometimes embarrassed. There were some words that I used. I remember it was this guy. I was confused between saying guy and gay.
Oh, yeah.
And in my brain, I was saying guy. And so I said, yeah, they were talking about Larry, a person in Milwaukee, and I said, yeah, he's a really nice gay. And everybody froze. And I was like, no, really, he's really nice gay. And I was like, okay, thank you. And so I was like, maybe they don't like him.
Yeah.
And then I met Larry and said, Larry, I don't know if you noticed, but I was with this group of people, and I told them that you are a really nice gay. And he started laughing like crazy. And I said, I mean, but you are. And he said, no, I think what you meant is guy. And maybe that's why they felt uncomfortable, because maybe you were saying, you tried to say he's a really nice guy, but if you would say guy, they would be, yes,
Yeah.
but you say gay, so they felt like maybe.
Something that they don't.
Since there was a long time for me to be comfortable saying things.
I totally
In
understand.
my brain, I said, okay, he's a nice guy. So I have to enunciate and then say it aloud so I can hear it.
Right.
And there are many words like that.
I still mess up words and I just gloss over words and they're like, that was not the right way to say that. So you've been involved in virtual exchanges at Harper.
That's right.
So you had one with Chiapas. We just had some visitors from Chiapas
Right.
and Yucatan. So tell us about that. And what do you think about that versus taking students?
There are different, I want to say different beasts, different tools.
Yeah.
I think if the students travel to the countries, the experience is totally different. They panic, but they grow. It's like a moment, what is hide, fight, and run.
Something like that. Psych stuff.
Right. So things like that, the students have it.
Yeah.
When they're in the country, they hit the survival mode.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
I have to, in order for me to ask food to my hosting family, I need to speak the language. And the virtual option is more relaxing for the students. They interact, they learn about the culture, but they are more flexible. They have the opportunity to use other tools, to use a dictionary, to use a translation, something that they will help them communicate, but they are more relaxed. They have the control of what is happening. When they're in the country, sometimes they don't have the control. They have to go with the flow.
So what's the advantage of having a virtual exchange?
That would target more students that way.
Yeah.
Traveling, sometimes students don't have the resources, they don't have the opportunity to go, they are busy, work, life, and that limits them to go to experience that. In the virtual exchange, everybody have the same opportunity to do it, and there is no worries about they have kids, they have to work, they have other classes, or they cannot just leave the country for
Right.
2 weeks, not even a week. Sometimes we don't think about how the struggles of a student goes through, even to register for classes. We may say the course may be $500, but for them, it's maybe half of a paycheck or something that they don't have
Right.
immediately. So for students, I think that for some of them, it's always the struggle to do that.
I also think it gives them an opportunity to have some immersion. They may not get all of the immersion, but they get a little bit. And instead of going home and not speaking to anybody, let's say in Spanish or whatever, they have to speak in Spanish a little bit.
At
Yeah.
least they have these other partners in Mexico that they talk, they receive texts, they receive phone calls. So they interact in a sense with them. May not have the same experience, music or transportation, whatever, but at least they have something.
Right.
So that's,
And they learn about some other people and just in
Right.
general, wherever they are, just learning about other people. Do you think your experience having come from Mexico leads you to influence or desire to create these experiences for students?
I think so. I need to push students to have that same experience. And those experiences came without me being aware of that. But not doing those to the students is I bring awareness to them, like, okay, this is what may happen to you. Let's do this. It's going to be useful for you in the future. When I came here, I was like, okay, this is new, but I was not appreciating what was happening to me until.
Because you're in survival mode. That's what you are. You're in
Right.
survival mode until you're not.
Exactly.
Right.
So that's why I said to the students, okay, this is going to happen. So I prepare them with the idea that hopefully that will click be faster than it happened to me. So for them, okay, you're going to expect this. You may panic in the beginning of the semester.
And it's okay.
Exactly.
Right, it's okay.
So I talk to them in that way. That
Yeah.
this may happen to you. It's going to help you in the future. Maybe not next semester, but maybe in 2-3 years, you're going to say, oh, yes, I had that experience. So that's what I want them to have.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm going to do some fast fire questions
Oh,
for
my
you.
goodness.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure I hopefully say correctly. Coffee or mate?
Coffee, cafe.
It's mate. Explain to people, so why don't you tell us what it is?
Mate is tea from South America, from
Okay.
Argentina and Chile. Usually, sometimes Hawaii, they drink it. And there's hot herbs. They put it in, it's herbs and they put it in hot water. And
Okay.
they drink it.
Okay.
Like coffee. It has a lot of energy. They gives you energy. It's healthy for you. Bitter, and just the taste. I don't like mate that much. It's coffee. Coffee you can put cream or milk. You can make it more
Palatable for us. Yes.
friendly.
Friendly.
But mate, I try mate, and it's great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. Okay. Tacos or empanadas?
Tacos.
Tacos.
Yes.
Salsa or reggaeton?
Reggaeton.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you dance?
I don't dance, that's why it's called reggaeton. Because reggaeton, we have to dance. With salsa, we have to know the steps.
Okay. I'll give you the Costa Rica or Cuba.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or a third one if you want to throw one in there. But you can't pick Mexico because you're from Mexico. You have to pick something else.
To be honest, if I had to pick one, I love those two countries, but I really got surprised with Peru.
Yeah.
I love Peru. The mountains, the people, the llamas. It was amazing how to. I seen kids going to school for walking 5 miles one way, and get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, walk, and we think that it's cold. Here, they walk in the mountains. It's cold,
Yeah.
and they come back in the afternoon, another 5 kilometers back, and like nothing every day. So,
Every day.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I love. If I had to choose a country, I would say Peru.
Peru. Okay. Siesta or fiesta?
Oh, fiesta, definitely.
No naps for you.
Yes, my mom used to say, "You're gonna sleep when you pass away."
No, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about how sleep is very important to your health. So
That's true.
But I'm with you. I'm probably more of a fiesta girl. All right. Thank you so much, Gerardo, for coming, joining me today, sharing your story. I think it's
Thank you.
really important for people to hear about what is happening, how we have all the different kinds of faculty with different backgrounds and what they bring to Harper and what you bring for your students and how you encourage them to have experiences like you did so that they can have a better future and learn from that. If you enjoyed this conversation, please follow us on Instagram at Global Ed Unpacked. You can also watch the recorded show on our YouTube channel, Global Education Unpacked, and listen to the audio version when I put it out there on your favorite podcast platform. This episode was recorded live at WHCM Radio in Palatine, Illinois, 88.3, produced by Matt Byrne and features theme music by DJ Double Dip. It's called Mint. You can find him on any of your music providers. Thank you for listening, and until next time, keep exploring the world through education.